I can't stand quitters. So if you're the kind of person who's going to quit because it's hard, I don't even want your energy around me, because quitters are the worst people on the planet. You can give a quitter absolutely everything and they will still fail. Quitters can have every single advantage. Quitters can have all the information. Quitters can have all the tutelage. Quitters can have a mentorship. Quitters can have someone who messages them every morning. Hey, bro, let's get it. And guess what they're going to do at the end? Quit. They ain't never going to have shit, right? You need the people who don't quit. I don't quit. Every single facet of my life is testament to the fact that I don't quit. When people see my plane in the sky, you can say whatever you want about me. You can call me arrogant. You can call me anything you want, but you cannot call me a quitter. I didn't quit. So that's the difference. When it was hard, I did it anyway. That's who I've always been. And if you don't have that kind of tenacity, you're never going to be anything. So the people who come along and talk about passive income, they sound like quitters. They sound like people who don't want to work. You have to just work. At some point, you have to bite the bullet and just work. So when someone comes to me and talk about passive income and they're a brokey, I'm like, you are just lazy. You are lazy. You'll never get anywhere. Lazy people never get anywhere in life. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it's tennis or money. If you're lazy, you're never going to get. I love work. I'm ready to work. I'll dig a hole. If you start with a good team, you're going to make it. That's really true. Brotherhood in and of itself is so valuable. If you sit around with 20 people and none of them are lazy and none of them are snakes, you're going to be fine. I think follow your passion is also a terrible piece of advice. People say, hey man, you need to find what you're passionate about and do that. And what they're trying to say is only do what you like, because you have no motivation to do anything else. And motivation in and of itself is a scam. I don't believe in motivation. I believe in discipline. I am not motivated to do the things I'm supposed to do. I don't wake up full of like joy. I have to go to the gym, or that I have to work, or that I deal with crap. I don't feel motivated to do them. I'm disciplined. I do them regardless of how I feel. Whether I'm in the mood to do it or I'm not in the mood to do it, it gets done. That's discipline. Discipline's a real thing. Motivation is fleeting. Yeah. You're never going to be permanently motivated. So when someone comes along and says, oh, do what you're passionate about, what they're saying is you'll have endless motivation, and then you'll be able to try hard. If you're the kind of person who can only try hard at something he enjoys, then you're going to fail. Because most things you enjoy don't pay any money. If they paid money, you wouldn't enjoy them. It's called a job, right? Nobody likes their job. You like your hobby. I'm sure you like playing video games. Maybe 1%, 0.1% can make money from video games, right? Most people, you ain't ever going to make it. Yeah. Do you think the guy in China who owns a concrete plant is passionate about concrete? It's money. Be passionate about success. If you're passionate about money, then you can be passionate about anything. I'll be passionate about any business on earth that pays me. If you pay me $1 billion to dig that hole, I'll be very passionate about that hole. I will dig that hole with passion. I think the world is a violent place. I think there's violence all around us. I think that I view the world in a violent way. And I don't mean that in a negative context. I say a lot of things and people take them as negative, but I see them as positive. Like I say I'm an angry person and people imagine me to be unhappy. Yeah. I'm super happy, but I'm angry. Angry is motivating. You can't sleep if you're angry, so you better work, right? So I'm an angry guy, but I'm a happy guy. If I sit in a coffee shop, right? If I sit in Starbucks, the whole time I'm in there, not only am I thinking about how they got the money from me and how much I spent, I'm thinking about how I could outcompete them. I'd sit there and go, okay, cool. I'm in Starbucks. I spent £5.68. I got a latte and I got a donut, and I'm sitting here. And that business place, that commercial property right across the street is available for lease. How could I outcompete this coffee shop that just took my money? What's the profit margin on this £5.68? How much did this cost them? The coffee, pennies. Donut, 30p. How much is the rent? How much is the business rates? If I had to open up there, how would I attract people to come into my shop as opposed to their shop? They got a big brand name. I'm brand new. Next thing, do they have any signage outside? No. I'm going to try and put some signage outside. Do they have parking? No. I need parking. But you need to start thinking about how you can convince people to give you their money as opposed to giving it to the places they already give it. People say, I can't think of how to make money. If you start doing that for a year and just keep a notepad, you'll have 100 ideas of how to make money. You'll sit there and go, there's a place here that's doing this and we could do it better this way. This place online is doing this. We can do it better this way. And then to get them all done, what do you need? Network. You need people. It's all about people. Okay, we can make money with this. Who's going to do it? Who's not lazy? Who's getting up at 4 a.m. tomorrow? Boom. Let's get it done. So there's unlimited ways to make money, but most people go through life and their money is taken from them. They don't even identify how they got tricked out of it. The business is just other people's money. That's all business is. I want to start a business. So you want other people's money. You have to think about it. Nobody thinks about it. And the easiest way to think about it is to think how you're giving yours. That's a mental model you should adopt. Yeah. And you'll end up with loads of business ideas. Business ideas are everywhere. It's just execution, which is different. At the end of the day, even if you're struggling, it's you that's going to have to get up and get the work done and change your life. So when they go on the TV and say, you're depressed, it's a disease, you can't fix it, there's nothing you can do about it, it's not your fault, I think they're just trying to reinforce in your mind that you're never going to get better. I think if they really cared, they'd say, like Tyson Fury says, you're depressed, but you can beat this. You can do this. I don't hear them saying that very often. They just sit there and say, everyone's depressed and it's normal. Accept it. And I don't accept that. I don't accept that. I don't think people should sit there and accept that they're sad. Change it. I think only you can change it. That's what I do. But I actually think the world is quite a bleak place for men nowadays. I think that the societal path they've laid out for most men is a sad one. I think that all men like the idea of conquest and like the idea of being high status and being rich. And they're telling you that you shouldn't be those things and you shouldn't do those things. You should just go to school, get a wife, sit at home, happy wife, happy life. And it's depressing and it's unhappy. And I promise everyone that there is a degree of happiness, but as a man, that happiness comes from freedom. And freedom does require money at some level. And you're going to have to get out there and get paid if you want to be free as an individual. And once you're free, you're going to be happy. When I talk about the matrix, I'm talking about the systems which have been created by society, which are deliberately designed to enslave. In the movie, the matrix were used for our body heat, but here in this matrix, we're used for our efforts and our energies. And you're existing inside of a system which is deliberately rigged to make the rich richer and for the poor to stay poor. Yeah. And you can sit there and get upset about it. You can sit there and cry about it and say the system needs to change, which is what some people do, socialists, XYZ. But I know that's a waste of time, right? That's futile. The best thing to do is to understand the rules of the game and find a way to win. So yes, the game is rigged. Yes, the rich are always going to get richer. Yes, the poor are always going to struggle. And that's the way the game is set up. So you still need to find the best move on the chessboard. There's no point sitting there saying, I want to play a different game, because that's never going to happen. Because the people with the money are the people who have the control and they have the power. And why would they have the game set up any other way? Why would they change? You got to be in a good position to take advantage of things. So you've always got to be in a position where you have a good network, you have good information, you have some kind of liquid money, you have the ability to survive without that money, you can take a risk. Like, it's hard to set yourself up. They teach you things that the problem is as well, it's difficult because the way that humans work and the way that we've evolved as a species is that we don't really learn lessons unless they're learned the hard way. I believe that unless a lesson is taught the hard way, you're not going to learn it. You can have so many near misses and people won't learn the lesson. Bro, you must know a guy who goes out there, nearly crashes his car, doesn't slow his ass down till he wrecks it. Yeah. Like, this is how people are, right? So you need that pain for the lesson to sting enough to really genuinely go inside of your mind. And it's the same with everything. It's the same with driving a car or business. Truthfully, if you want to learn a lesson about business, you're going to have to suffer at some point, right? The natural state of man is a competitive state of man. Men have always been competing with each other. Even now, right now, we compete with each other. I don't buy Ferraris to drive fast. I do sometimes, but if I'm in London traffic, it's not to go quick. No. It's to show everyone else I'm richer than them. That's what it is. It's a never-ending competition. I don't wear a big diamond Patek with fucking $500,000 to tell the time. I tell the time on my phone. I do it because I'm loaded. And this is actually what's interesting about the world, because the world's changed. Men used to go to war and fight each other in physical combat, and now we don't because we're more civilized in some regards. Violence is still the bottom line of society, but we try and avoid it. Men are constantly doing combat by showing each other how we can move world with money. We're constantly in combat because of our status. 99% of what men do is for status. We want to be in good shape for status. We want the fast car for status. We want the nice house for status. We want the diamond watch. We want the hot girl. This is all for our status. Look at me. I'm the big dog. This is how we compete with each other. If you're going to be a dude who pretends that's not true, or be a dude who doesn't want to compete, your life's going to fucking suck. There's no light without dark, and there's no joy without pain. You can't have a rainbow without a little rain. Exactly. And no matter how hard you chase pleasure and happiness, there's going to be dips and troughs in between. There's going to be come downs and downtrends, and you're going to have the juxtaposition between that time you were laughing your head off and acting giddish like a child and the time that you feel depressed as such. And I think it's much better to just adopt a very disciplined, stoic mindset. I'm always the same base level of happy regardless. If I lost all of my money today, I would be the same happy. If my net worth quadrupled, I'd be the same happiness. Yeah. As long as I am alive, which is a struggle, unfortunately, in the current climate. But as long as I'm alive and the people I care about and love are alive, and as long as God gives me the honor of doing my duties and providing for the people I care about, as long as I get to wake up and know that there's a whole bunch of people in the world who need me and I get to work hard to please them and do good for society and good for the world, then I'm a vessel of God and I'm happy enough to survive. That's all I look at it as. I don't ever consider how do I feel. That doesn't cross my mind. I have things to do. I have things to do.
You're too busy to think about that.
I'm too busy. I have things to do every single day. I have very important things to do, and how I feel really is not going to affect how I complete those tasks.
Right.
And when I speak to men, they say I'm unhappy or I need to be happier. I think that's absolutely the wrong frame of life. You're a man, you have duty, you have honor, you have things you should be doing regardless of how you feel. And the people who are perma-obsessed with happiness or sadness, I just think it's the wrong paradigm to view the lens of life. I think you should get up and do what needs to be done.
We talked about this started with an attack on masculinity. I think the reason there's such a large men's mental health crisis is because of the attack on masculinity. When you tell people with an innate desire to be masculine, whether it's God-given, whatever, like you said, they have innate desires. We're all born with innate desires. God has told us some things are just wrong and some things are just right. And you have an innate desire to act a certain way. And then society is telling you that if you act that way or if you have those desires in any way, you are a bad person. That's where the men's mental health comes from. That's where all these men are sad and depressed, is because they're like, you know what? I'm not supposed to want to just get big, get strong, get important, get a hot girl, get a nice car. I'm not supposed to want that. I'm supposed to want this. This is garbage. And they sit in this middle area. The happiest people I know are people who are unapologetic. I'm just saying, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I do.
How I feel has absolutely zero bearing on how I live my life. I'll do the exact same tasks with the exact same vigor, whether I'm happy or sad. I still want to win. Think of every bad decision you've ever made and see the emotion involved. Your mind must be stronger than your feelings. The point is this. If you truly want to win, you can't only want to win when you're happy, and you can't only want to win when you're motivated, because you're competing against people like me who want to win all of the time. And unfortunately, it's player versus player. Every single girl that you want, every single dollar that you want, I also want. You're competing against men like me who will perform even when it's raining, not only when the sun is shining. And if you're going to be the kind of person who can only do it in one of those scenarios, you are going to lose. You must be prepared to perform all of the time. I have a lot of people who message me and say, oh, I struggle with motivation. And my answer is simple. Then stay a loser. If you can't find the motivation to not be a loser, then I strongly recommend you just stay a loser, stay in your lane, and stay out of my way. Yeah. I have no time for people who cannot find the motivation to fix themselves and fix their own lives. I've been the kind of person who will perform 7 days a week. Doesn't matter how I feel. Doesn't matter what's happened. Doesn't matter if I'm happy or sad. Things must be done. And this is the mindset you need to adopt if you want to be a winner. Absolutely everything that happens in your life, whether it's good or bad, is completely your fault. Not enough people take responsibility for their lives completely. So if you're watching this, I want you to very seriously do this. This is a serious exercise. Take responsibility for your life. I want you to get a pen and a paper and write down everything good in your life, everything you're grateful for and thankful for, and everything bad that's happening to you in your life. Perhaps you have a job you don't get paid enough. Perhaps somebody, your job doesn't like you and is being horrible to you and is preventing you from getting a promotion. Perhaps your girlfriend doesn't listen to you. You have a bad relationship. Everything in your life is completely your fault. Please understand, as a man, the key to being successful is building a formidable mindset that makes you ultra and hyper competitive in a very competitive environment. Now, competence and the ability to perceive the world as it really is, perspicacious and understanding the truth of the universe, is certainly a key element in terms of becoming a feared opponent and understanding the world and being competitive. However, there are certain scenarios, there are certain times in which you don't have to be concerned with being right or wrong. You must be concerned only with being as competitive as possible. This is the idea I try and teach people inside the Matrix when I say, I do not believe depression is real, and they try and convince me it's real. I don't care what science you come up with convincing me it's real, because if I believe in depression, I am more likely to become depressed. If I don't believe in it, it cannot affect me. I cannot become depressed if I do not believe in depression. So by extension, my mind is more competitive. I'm a more feared opponent. I'm more dangerous if I don't believe in depression. That's why I've created my mindset to be as competitive as possible. You must understand that competitiveness as a whole is the baseline for masculine experience. Every dollar you want is wanted by other men. Every female you want is wanted by other men. You are competing against other men your entire life. Even when you walk into a room, instantly you are measured and sized up and down, and you are competing. So for this reason, you must understand that you must build a mind that allows you to compete day after day at the highest possible echelons and be successful. Build a competitive mind. Now, to do that, you must self-analyze. Everything in your life is your fault. By accepting everything in your life is your fault, it makes you more competitive. If you believe that things just happen to you or that bad luck just comes and you can't affect it, you're not as competitive as someone like me who believes that everything is my fault. If it rains tomorrow, I am responsible for the rain. Do you understand? You may think I'm crazy, but I'm not, because I could have looked at the weather forecast and flown to another country to avoid the rain. There is always something I could have done. I could have packed an umbrella. I could have planned to go driving on another day when it's not raining. Everything is my fault all the time. I have absolutely not self-responsibility and accountability, which allows me to become as effective as possible when I'm facing my problems. When the enemy and the problems appear, my Aikido is max level 1000 because I am self-analyzing permanently. Everything I do is self-analysis. I get asked all the time, well, what do you feel? Or what about happiness or depression? That doesn't even, how I feel doesn't cross my mind. I don't know how else to explain it. There are days where I'm pissed off or sad or happy. It doesn't cross my mind. It's just like, I woke up, whatever mood I happen to be in, I have things I need to do. It's a busy day. Zuby's here soon. I need to go training before he gets here. I had a meeting with the bank at 7:15 a.m. I have shit to do. Like, I didn't cross my mind if I was happy, sad, excited. I just had to work. So I think my mental model, to a degree, I'm certainly not a person who doesn't feel emotions because we're all human. I certainly do. But I've never prioritized them in any regard. I haven't built a mental model that affects, I haven't put them in the middle of my mental model and then affected my actions based on how I feel for each one. It's absolutely and completely the opposite. I would love to do a podcast on a day where I'm particularly sad and a podcast on a day when I'm particularly happy. And I guarantee you wouldn't be able to tell the fucking difference. So that's what allows me to be competitive, right? Because if you're competitive, if you want to be the most competitive predator on the planet, you have to be able to hunt in the day and the night. You have to be able to do both. You have to be able to perform when you're happy and sad. You can't only be able to perform when you're happy. You can't only go to the gym when you're motivated. You can't only be a competent person when your life's going well, because when your life's not going well, you're no longer competent. Then you're going to lose to people like me. And it's player versus player. If you're the kind of person who can only do well when you're happy and you're competing against someone like me who can do well all the fucking time, guess what? You lose. So my mental model, the answer is most of my opinions are just based around constructing a mental model that allows me to be brutally competitive.